Okay. Mayor, we want to go back out now to Andrew Ramos. Andrew, from your vantage point, I know the last time we came to you, we were seeing some flames in the streets from them burning an American flag. Has that died down, or are you seeing any escalation out there?
Yeah, so right now, who had reported earlier that a pro-Israel counter-protest was expected to be here, it appears that they have arrived. So they are now situated closer to the, I guess, the intersection of Madison and Canal. There is about, I would say, a little bit more than 100 of those demonstrators who are here now on the ground. They are behind a wall, a human wall of police officers in riot gear, and they are being separated by now approaching pro-Palestinian demonstrators. Police essentially keeping these two groups separated. They are now chanting back and forth. They know each other is on the other side of this police officer lineup, but there was a certain point where some of the pro-Palestinian protesters attempted to kind of cross and push through the line, but they were unsuccessful. So now it seems that if you could see the pro-Israel side, they're trying to push toward police at this point, and they're getting, again, the CPD are doing a great job tonight as they are keeping these two groups separated. It seems, again, from my vantage point, it looks like the group itself is contained because there's officers behind them and in front of them, and then the same goes for the pro-Palestinian group. I would say at this point everyone is outnumbered by officers here on the ground, so it's a little bit of a chaotic situation, but for the most part it's controlled chaos because CPD right now on the ground doing the job. But these two groups, again, they're trying to, you can see it on both ends, they're trying to get closer to each other, but they just cannot because of this line, this division that CPD has created.
All right, Andrew, thank you very much. Let's bring the mayor back in for a second because, I mean, there's a lot of the philosophy behind this that people question, Mayor, and you can start with, I guess, point number one, which is it's unfortunate that as much as these protesters want to make their voices heard, in many cases they're not content until it escalates, until the police are involved, until there's a confrontation. And on that, I guess, notice to use police to make their point. There's also the media aspect of this. I'm sure there are people watching this right now who are saying, listen, if you weren't there filming this, this wouldn't be going on. This is why they're doing it, to get the attention that you're giving them. But make no mistake, they do not like the media there either.
Yeah.
What do you make of any or all of that?
Look, I mean, democracy is messy, right? People's passions are running very high with the conflict in Gaza on both sides. And I don't think there's just one side. I think there's multiple facets to this very complex problem. But look, the reality is the police are doing what they should be doing, keeping these folks separated from each other. The people that are on the front line that want to fight, they've got to be separated from the other side. We saw, unfortunately, on many college campuses this year where, frankly, the campus authorities didn't move as quickly as they should have. These warring factions, opposing factions, got into conflict with each other, and bad things happen. We can't let that happen in Chicago, and it shouldn't happen anywhere. But as you see, the police's job is to be present, to protect the First Amendment peaceful protests, but to de-escalate, not to escalate. They should only be taking affirmative police action when there's a threat that to person or property. Right now, you're not seeing that. There's a lot of jawing and a lot of words. That's what the First Amendment is designed to protect. And as long as folks don't cross the line, then it will remain peaceful.
We were at the top of the hour here at 8 o'clock, and if you're just joining us here on CBS News Chicago stream, we wanted to get you up to date on what we've been covering for the past hour. Protests right outside of the Israeli Consulate. This began, well, what we were hearing at least days ago was that behind enemy lines, a specific group that is pro-Palestinian planned to protest at this Accenture building that's right there on Madison between Clinton and Canal. They were encouraging people to come out and say, quote, make it great like 68. They were saying that they wanted people to take police beatings and arrests. It hasn't gotten to the point of police beatings by any means. However, that was their intention. And so police had been preparing in advance, and that's what we've been reporting to you, what we're seeing on the scene there with the police officers and the protesters, and now a counter-protest on the scene as well.
It was scheduled to start at 7 o'clock. It did start a little later than that, and initially it was a small group, maybe 20 to 25 people, but it did grow, and it grew to a point to where police did step in and detain some people and take them away and arrest them. Let's go back with Jermont Terry, who's on the scene and has been since this all started. Jermont, what do you have?
Here at Madison and Clinton, where Chicago police continue to hold that formation, preventing this group from moving any further. I want to point out where Andrew is. He is near a little further east on Clinton, on Canal. I'm on Clinton West, and these demonstrators have not been able to move any further past Clinton. This is where Chicago police maintain this order, this formation, and look at the difference. When we were last here, you saw that they had their batons in hands. Look at them now. Their batons are now back at their sides. This lets you know that the tension and or the concern has de-escalated for the moment. So now police officers, as Superintendent Johnson and former Mayor Lori Lightfoot have been pointing out, that they are not here to be contentious with this crowd, allowing them to demonstrate. But if in fact there's a need, they will then pull the batons back out. But here it is right now, closer to just after 8 o'clock, and this group has been demonstrating since about 7. The crowd has, obviously I personally saw about 4 to 5 people being taken into custody. Not sure what we saw on the other end, but right now, Chicago police, they have maintained order, they have kept the order, and right now, that is the plan for the remainder of the evening. As Andrew pointed out, we know that the pro-Israeli group has now come, and they are deliberately keeping those two sides away from each other because they want to make sure that no clashes happen, not just with police, but with the two sides who have different views on this war in Gaza. But again, the development right now, Chicago police, we have the tactical units in the middle, and we have the uniform officers around them with the safety vests, and they have maintained order here and at Madison and Clinton, and this group has not moved any further. Well, I can tell you that we saw about maybe 2 or 3 CPD helicopters. Keep in mind, they just got a few new ones for the DNC. They are using them at this moment, making sure that no groups are any other places. But again, right now, order has been maintained here at Madison and Clinton. Back to you, Joe and Erica.
All right, Jermont, thank you. Now we want to go to our Andrew Ramos, who, as Jermont mentioned, is at a different part, closer to the canal side of Madison. So, Andrew, you were taking us through, and we could see it from the cameras, smoke coming from the street when they were burning this flag, but within a few minutes that seemed to die down. Has there been any other clash out there, particularly because you were seeing some of those pro-Israel demonstrators coming to the scene?
Superintendent Snelling's out there. That's his bodyguard.
As of right now, we don't see any clashes. We don't see any clashes. Right now, it appears that the pro-Israel group is now dispersing for the most part. They took a good part of Canal and the intersection of Canal and Madison, but they seem to be now dispersing, which is a good sign. It shows that CPD definitely has this under control, but they have maintained this line right here between those two groups. The pro-Palestinian group, meantime, they're not going anywhere. They seem to be, I would say in the past hour, have grown in numbers. But as of right now, the pro-Israeli demonstrators seem to be they seem to be dispersing. They were to begin with, I would say, about 100 demonstrators who showed up with that group. When they arrived, they initially told us they were going to be here at 7 o'clock. Oh, and right now, if Pat, you could make sure get that shot. We have a new line of police officers with riot gear who are now approaching the scene and now completely closing off the intersection of Madison and Canal. So I believe that's why those pro-Israel demonstrators dispersed, because there's nowhere for them to go now. Essentially, CPD is making sure that this entire intersection is completely empty, and they are pushing back on anyone from standing or being anywhere near the intersection. But yeah, as of right now, we haven't seen any new clashes, any new arrests. CPD seems to have this under control, and they are now making announcements to tell the remaining pro-Israel demonstrators to get out of the street. And they are obeying those rules, so they are now completely clearing the area. And now it again appears to show that both the intersection of Canal and Madison completely cleared of anything, and the only thing we see is law enforcement, CPD presence, and it's very thick right now, but it's very controlled. And again, we have not seen any new clashes. Back to you.